Mr. Motaung's thirds. It is break time at Siyafunda Primary School. Nneoma, Jabu and Zodwa have just sat down in the shade to enjoy their lunch. Today, Nneoma and Zodwa brought food from home, but Jabu is eating a quota from Mr. Mikize's shop. This cheese is creamy. Mr. Mikize's quotas are the best, exclaims Jabu, licking his fingers. Tebogo is sitting nearby and overhears Jabu. He can't believe his ears. Tebogo asks, "Did you just say there's cheese on Mikize's quotas? Did you say Mikize's quotas are the best? Are you joking?" "Ha! You don't know Mr. Mikize. He's changed his ways, and this quota speaks for itself," says Jabu, pointing at his quota. The quota is stuffed with chips, polony and achar, and covered in creamy melting cheese. Tebogo is impressed. Just then, Skelo arrives with his lunch, and Tebogo says to his friend, "Hey Skelo, look at this quota." Jabu notices Skelo's face and asks, "Why are you so serious?" Skelo puts his quota on the bench next to Jabu's quota. "I got my quota from Mr. Motaung. The quota are equal in size, but mine has less filling." "Yes," says Nneoma. "That's exactly why so many kids are buying from Mr. Mikize's shop now." "So Mr. Mikize is a changed man? He used to slice one loaf of bread into 5 parts to make his quotas," says Tebogo. "Ah," replies Nneoma. "That was not a quota at all." "Why was it not a quota?" asks Skelo. "Ha, Skelo," laughs Nneoma. "Don't you remember what our teacher taught us about fractions? Cutting one loaf of bread into 5 equal pieces does not give us quarters. It gives us fifths." Skelo thinks, then he says, "I remember. Each part of a whole divided into 5 equal parts is 1/5 of the whole. Each part of a whole divided into 4 equal pieces is 1/4 of the whole." Zodwa interrupts, "But hey guys, what's going on with Mr. Motaung's quotas? They're a quarter of a loaf, but they contain less than Mr. Mikize's quotas." Jabu frowns and says to the group, "If Motaung is having problems and goes out of business, then Mikize will have no competition. What if Mikize gets greedy and goes back to his bad old ways?" A few days later, Mr. Motaung is getting ready to sell lunch at break time. He's worried. Lately, fewer and fewer learners are buying from him. Mr. Motaung asks himself, "Why are they all flocking to Mikize? I thought we were selling the same quota at the same price." Jabu, on his way from Mr. Mikize's shop, passes by Mr. Motaung's shop. He calls the boy over. "Hey Jabu, how are you?" Mr. Motaung's eyes are not on Jabu but on the quota Jabu is carrying. He smiles when he realizes that the quota has got more chips, more cheese, more polony and more achar than his quotas. The next time Nneoma and Zodwa are buying quota, Mikize gives them a gift. "Wait a minute, I've got a surprise for you. Soon I'll be selling fruit at my shop. Here are some sweet juicy apples to try for free. Please share with your friends." The girls are delighted. "Thank you, Mr. Mikize," they say at the same time. They decide to share the apples with Jabu, Tebogo and Skelo and go find them in the yard. Zodwa tells the boys, "Mr. Mikize gave us these apples to share. He wants to sell them at his shop." Nneoma puts the apple on the bench so that they can all count them. "Well," says Tebogo, "we can each have an equal number of apples, but there's only 1 apple left over." "Let's cut that remaining apple into 3 equal parts," suggests Jabu. "What are 3 equal parts called?" mutters Nneoma to herself. "Thirds. Cut the apple into thirds," says Skelo proudly. "No, let's give that leftover apple to our math teacher," says Zodwa. The friends agree that it's a good suggestion to give the apple to Miss Nkosi after break. The next week, Jabu and Nneoma are waiting for Zodwa at break. "Look, Motaung is back in business," she says. Zodwa puts her quota on the bench and the 3 of them compare their quotas. "Wow," says Jabu, "that quota is bigger than a quarter. And look at all those chips." "I bet this costs a lot extra," asks Nneoma suspiciously. After break, as they head back to class, Zodwa takes her friends to read the notice board outside Mr. Motaung's shop. Jabu and Nomsa can't believe their eyes when they read the sign. Get your super-sized quota third. Only 3 rands more. A third of a loaf with extra chips and extra sauce with polony or cheese.